That was incredible. Robert De Niro playing Al Capone in the movie Untouchables. Now, during the Prohibition in the 1920s, Capone quickly became Chicago's biggest crime boss and public enemy #1. Now, 65 years after his death, his grandniece, Deirdre Marie, has written a book titled Uncle Al Capone. Now, that's not something everyone can say. Actually, you're the only one.
Correct. I'm the last person that was born with the name Capone that was part of the Al Capone family.
Okay, so we think of Al Capone as public enemy #1. I think your dad was listed by the Chicago Crime Commission as public enemy #3. But you're a 7-year-old girl.
Correct.
Growing up in this world. Men with guns, you know, show up at the house.
Correct.
And post the front and the back when Uncle Al comes to visit.
Correct.
What was that like as a kid?
It was normal for me. I kind of knew that something was a little different than the children that I went to school with, but it was normal. There was never a moment that I was ever afraid, feared for anything. It was after I left the Capone house that I became fearful and afraid of who I was, because there were a lot of people out there that would love to kill the last Capone.
All right, now, the image you paint of Al Capone, great book, by the way.
Thank
you. The image you paint of Al Capone in the book is really a stretch for me. He's playing on the floor with you with your toys. He teaches you to play cards, how to play the mandolin. He's laughing raucously while making spaghetti sauce. He seems like a great family guy, and not that family, I mean regular family.
And he was, but one day he was out in the kitchen singing, making spaghetti sauce, and his sister, my Aunt Matthew, came to him and said that there were some people at the front door that wanted to see him. And so he looked and he went and got a cigar and his suit coat. I followed him into the parlor. These two men came in and I saw my uncle change expressions. And he sat there and he got this glare in his face and he got stiff and rigid and started grunting. And I thought, oh, that's an Al Capone that I never saw before.
Now, there's a quote in the beginning of the book saying, I had to do some things I didn't want to do. You think of imagery of that time, like the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and brutality. But he said, I'm not as black as they paint me to be. Did history get him wrong? He was a gangster and a killer and a violent man.
I equate that part of American history to the Wild West. In the Wild West, if you rustled somebody's cattle or stole somebody's woman, there was retribution to be paid. The cowboys would line up on either end of the street and walk toward each other, and whoever fired first fell to the ground. And that's the way it was. My grandfather swore to me on my father's grave, no innocent person was ever hurt, no woman was ever made to do anything she did not choose to do, and no child's life was ever in danger. And I believe that. But yes, they went into the business knowing full well that they needed to do their job.
So just briefly, this cost you. You didn't get invited to birthday parties at school. You lost a job. Do you regret
And I lost a father, too.
Who committed suicide. Do you regret being a Capone?
For a long time, yes, I did, John.
All right. Well, interesting perspective on history. Great book. Deirdre Capone, thanks.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Good to have you.